Hello and welcome to Insurance Fraud Files. Today's case is one of the most common and most underestimated forms of fraud in motor claims. Not a fake accident, not a staged crash, but something subtler and far more frequent. The accident happens, but the damage doesn't end there. At first glance, these cases look routine. A real collision occurs. The vehicle shows visible damage. A claim is filed. Repair estimates follow. Nothing about the initial report suggests fraud. The problem begins after the accident. In staged vehicle damage fraud, the original loss is real, but it becomes a platform. Additional damage is inflicted later, manually, mechanically, or through secondary impacts, to inflate repair costs or push the vehicle into total loss territory. The goal is simple: turn a limited claim into a financially optimal one. From an investigative perspective, these cases are dangerous precisely because they begin with truth. Technical experts approach them differently. The first step is chronology. Damage from a real accident has a temporal logic. Metal deforms under force in a specific sequence. Paint transfer occurs at the moment of impact. Stress patterns radiate outward. When additional damage is added later, that timeline breaks. Experts look for overlap that shouldn't exist. Scratches cutting through already oxidized metal. Deformations that ignore original impact vectors. Cracks in plastic components without corresponding load transfer to adjacent parts. These inconsistencies don't scream fraud, but they whisper it. Material behavior is critical. In a real collision, different materials fail differently but coherently. Steel bends, aluminum creases, plastics fracture along stress lines, glass shatters directionally. When damage is staged afterward, materials react in isolation. Components break without systemic stress. Mounting points remain intact while visible surfaces are destroyed. That separation is unnatural. Paint analysis adds another layer. Fresh damage exposes metal. Over time, oxidation begins. Even a short delay leaves microscopic changes. When experts see clean fractures next to weathered edges, they know damage occurred in multiple phases. The car didn't suffer one event, it suffered a sequence. Fasteners tell stories most people never consider. Bolts loosened after an accident leave tool marks. Panels removed and reinstalled shift alignment. Clips break differently when pulled apart than when crushed under load. These details are invisible to claimants, but obvious to trained examiners. Digital data increasingly confirms physical findings. Modern vehicles record impact data, airbag deployment thresholds, and sensor anomalies. When claim damage exceeds recorded force values, the discrepancy becomes undeniable. The car says one thing, the claim says another. Behavior completes the picture. Owners involved in staged damage fraud often push for quick inspections, resist independent assessment, or insist on specific repair shops. Estimates arrive inflated, detailed in some areas and vague in others. The documentation is aggressive, but the physics is weak. According to investigative analysis shared by international insurance intelligence networks such as HNI, staged post-accident damage is most often exposed not by suspicion, but by technical consistency checks. Fraud doesn't fail because it looks dishonest. It fails because it doesn't behave like real damage. Staged vehicle damage fraud lives in the gray zone between accident and manipulation. It relies on the assumption that once a crash is confirmed, everything that follows will be believed. Technical expertise proves otherwise. At Insurance Fraud Files, we show how investigators read vehicles the way detectives read crime scenes. Damage isn't just visible, it's chronological. And when that chronology breaks, intent becomes visible. If you are faced with a suspicious claim, incomprehensible losses, or a case that is not supported by facts, Insurance Fraud Files is the place where expertise meets reality. If you need a professional investigation, loss assessment, or expert support in a complex case, do not rely on assumptions. Thank you for watching Insurance Fraud Files. See you in the next video.